Hello, this is Rachel from The Healthy Room, and this is RoomTube. We're currently talking about period pain, and joining me today is the lovely Nicole Jardim, all the way from New York City. Nicole is a fellow Integrative Pelvic Health Institute graduate, but she's a health coach specialising in women's hormonal conditions that relate to periods and fertility health. She has originally studied with the Integrative Institute for Nutrition and also with the amazing Sarah Gottfried, and she really is sort of queen of everything hormonal. So Nicole today is going to talk to us about hormones, period pain, some tips about what we can do about it, and then also make sure you watch to the very end because she has two brilliant programs. One is a self-study program that you can do at home to improve your own hormonal imbalances in your own periods, and also a second program which is an apprenticeship for practitioners who want to know more about hormones and nutrition and fertility and periods, and also budding health coaches. So Nicole, welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. So we're going to be talking about period pain. I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit more about your story of period pain and how you got to where you are, hormones and nutrition, and how that's helped you.
Absolutely. I would say that period pain was the defining factor in determining what I ended up doing because it was my biggest struggle when I was younger. And, I went to the doctor and she put me on the pill because that was I know, right? Eye roll, insert eye roll. But, that was the solution and really still is the solution in conventional medicine, unfortunately, as you know. I went on the pill and I was on it for about maybe 4 years or so. And it just devastated my hormonal health. I mean, I had lighter periods. They were a lot less painful. In fact, there was no pain at all. But of course, it was just masking this underlying imbalance that I had in the first place. And so when I finally came off, it was almost like a double whammy. I had to work through the pill stuff, and then I still had to work through the underlying imbalance because I still really had painful periods when I came off the pill. And so that was what led me to nutrition and, like finding the right supplements and the right exercise for my body and for what I was going through. And just managing my stress issues as well. So there was obviously it's a combination approach, and it took me a number of years to figure it out. And when I finally moved into the health and wellness world, I realized this was the work I really needed to do because there are, as you know, so many women who have no idea what's going on in their bodies and why and how to actually start addressing it in a proactive way. So here I am, the period fixer.
And I'm so glad that you are. So let's move on then to hormones. There's loads of hormones and hormonal imbalances that can cause period pain, but in your experience, what's the sort of biggest one that you can talk about today?
I would say that the biggest one I see is estrogen dominance. And, you and I have talked about this a little bit, and we hear about it often, especially in training. But what estrogen dominance really is an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, meaning that your estrogen is high in relation to your progesterone. And if anyone knows about these two hormones, they'll know that these hormones are like a yin and yang relationship. And so if there's an imbalance, then you're going to start to run into problems. And typically women with estrogen dominance will have things like painful periods or heavy periods, or maybe even fibroids, endometriosis, sometimes even PCOS. I mean, the list goes on and on. So again, what we need to understand is that estrogen is a growth hormone. It's a stimulating hormone, whereas progesterone is like the calming hormone. So it'll stop all of that stimulation when it takes over in the second half of your cycle. However, for so many women, that's not happening nearly as much as it should be just because they are estrogen dominant.
Yeah, and I would sort of add on to that a load of other symptoms that people don't necessarily relate to that would be things like period pain, PMS, bloating, all those things that we want to avoid if possible.
Yes. I know, menstrual migraines. Yeah. I mean, all of those kinds of things too, we don't even realize are connected.
Yeah, and also I've had a few women that get their bleed is black throughout the whole bleed, and it's really thick and icky and condensed, which is at the really extreme end, but it can really show up in your period, I found.
Absolutely, for sure.
Ooh, okay. So thank you for explaining that to us. So what would you say if you were to give one tip on what you could do about estrogen dominance? What would be your biggest tip to give away?
Oh, there's so many, but we want to keep it simple.
Yes,
So
something that everyone can do now.
I would say, I know, right? We're making it easy for the ladies.
Mm.
I would say that one of the easiest, biggest things you can do is to start to incorporate cruciferous vegetables. And when I say cruciferous vegetables, I'm talking about things like broccoli and cauliflower and kale and cabbage and those. And like I could keep going: Brussels sprouts, asparagus, all of them. Anyway, I feel like that would be one of the easiest things you can do, as well as especially the leafy green cruciferous vegetables. Like I said, like the kale and the collard greens and Swiss chard and all of these. Actually, I don't think Swiss chard is, but Swiss chard is still good.
It's still good for you.
But
and
it is, right?
how do they help with the estrogen dominance? Obviously,
they
in simple
are
terms.
Yeah. I know, right? The symptoms.
Yeah.
So cruciferous vegetables are great in that they contain compounds that help your body, your liver especially, metabolize estrogen more effectively, and then ultimately get it removed from your body. So in addition to that, you want to make sure you're getting good amounts of fiber, which you will be because you're eating these lovely veggies, so that your body can actually eliminate that excess estrogen.
Yeah.
Sarah Gottfried always says something along the lines of, with estrogen, you want to use it and lose it. And it's really true, because when you have these estrogen metabolites recirculating in your body, they can be really harmful. So it's really important to make sure that you are removing excess estrogen effectively.
Yeah, big time. So how much would you say is the right amount of cruciferous veggies, or even just green leafy veggies, to try and eat in a day?
I think it's
number of cups.
Yes. I mean, I would say, I have people aim, when I'm talking about just leafy greens in general, I have people aim for like 3 to 4 cups of leafy greens a day. I know that actually seems like a lot, but if you're incorporating it into lunch and dinner, it's really not that much, especially if you cook them down or something like that. So it can be raw, it can be cooked. It's really up to you. I prefer the cooked veggies, especially in the fall and the winter time, just because they're easier to digest. And, from a Chinese medicine perspective, you don't really want to have too many raw foods. So yeah, I think that like aiming for that would be a great goal. And then, of course, if you have like a cup of Brussels sprouts, that's really easy to eat. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Especially like roasted Brussels sprouts, for instance. So yes, I think it's really doable to aim for something along those lines.
Okay, so
yeah,
one thing I get when I mention cruciferous veggies, I get a load of people coming at me with a whole load of myths, as it were. So do you mind if I throw them at you and see what your responses are? So,
sure thing.
Okay, number 1 is you can't eat cruciferous veggies if you think you have a thyroid disorder, or if you do have a thyroid disorder, your mum has a thyroid disorder.
Yes, and so on and so forth. It's interesting because there is a lot of evidence that states basically what you just said, but a lot of it is inconclusive. So what I recommend to people is that they cook their cruciferous vegetables. You want to mostly cook your veggies anyways. Makes it a lot easier to digest, especially for women who have hormonal imbalances and likely have gut problems, because those two are very closely linked. So I would recommend just cooking your veggies. And if you do have a full-blown thyroid disorder, you might want to limit them. You might want to only have them 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, that's something, you can totally err on the side of caution. And I always recommend women just listen to their bodies. Like, what are the symptoms telling you? If you're testing your thyroid regularly and your test results change or they become abnormal again, and you've been incorporating a lot of cruciferous veggies, then, pay attention to that. But I think at the end of the day, it's definitely safe to eat them 2 to 3 times a week. That's what I recommend to my thyroid patients, and make sure you cook them.
Excellent. Number 2 is that cruciferous veggies will make me gassy, etc. Have you got any tips for avoiding the gas?
I think people need to know, again, this is a lot about paying attention to the signs and symptoms your body is sending you. And a lot of the time people are allergic or have some kind of sensitivity to certain foods, and you need to pay attention to that. I, again, find that raw cruciferous vegetables, especially cauliflower and broccoli, really cause a lot of gas issues for people, but when you cook them, that's not the case. Yeah. So I think that cooking them and cooking them in a high fat as well, like a fat, will really help. So something like butter or coconut oil, some kind of saturated fat, and pairing them with pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds really helps to make them more digestible and easier on our bodies. So yeah.
And of course, just incorporating them in gradually, like once a day in small portions and working your way up helps too, I find.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. For sure. That's a great point. I don't feel like you should just, go from not eating any to 3 cups of broccoli a day. That might not be so good for you. No. Might not feel so good, at least.
I know. I do know people that have done that, and they're not right for me. Like, I've never known anyone to eat 3 broccolis in one day.
I know, right? Talk about self-sabotage. Yeah, you don't want to do that to yourself.
Indeed. Ease your way and make it easy. So, another thing that people say to me is that cruciferous veggies taste yucky. So, I love them, and I know a few ways of preparing them, but I just thought if we could sort of brainstorm a few really easy ways to get them into your food, if you'd like to throw your favourite way of eating them out there.
I know. It's tough, I think, for a lot of people if they haven't eaten a lot of greens before, or they haven't eaten a lot of these, what we call more bitter tasting vegetables. Like I said, sauteing in some kind of saturated fat obviously really helps. Yeah. Anything with fat helps with the taste. And I think that, like, I love almost like a water saute. So I will saute with water more, and then add in the oil, or like the coconut oil, for instance. And like I said before, I really love adding in nuts and seeds to them as well. And salt, pepper, onions, garlic, and lemon juice all make for amazing. I know, right? Look at your face. You're like, give me some now.
Bacon as well as another good one.
That's perfect, I think. Easy.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, bacon. I like putting bacon in with mine. Yes. Bacon makes everything taste good. Or nutritional yeast if you're vegan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Either of those I think are so good. Oh my gosh, bacon. Bacon and Brussels sprouts. I can't.
I know.
Yeah.
I actually have cruciferous veggies with my scrambled eggs in the morning for breakfast. So I get them in.
Me too.
Straight away. Hooray! I'm not the only one.
I totally did that yesterday morning, actually. I had scrambled eggs and collard greens. And that's another thing I think women should know too, that we need to start to rethink what breakfast should look like. And it really should be high protein and, complex carbs through veggies. So greens, eggs, maybe if you want bacon, some kind of sausage, something like that, is going to keep, and fat, of course, like avocados, that kind of thing, is really going to keep you full and like all the way through that mid-morning snack time and into lunch. So I don't know, for me, it's really, really worked, and clearly it's worked for you too.
Yeah, it really, really has. I mean, my PCOS symptoms just went overnight, so it makes a big difference. And the other thing I like having my greens with is my other half, when he has like spaghetti bolognese, he has the spaghetti and I have fried greens in coconut oil as like the bed, and then the bolognese goes on top. So I think easy. Brilliant like pasta replacement if you can't eat high GI foods. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's perfect. I mean, and, again, like it provides everything that you need and you feel completely satisfied as well.
I know, they're so filling.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so I've got one more myth. Okay. I'm sure you've had a few funny questions like this before, but obviously anyone watching this, they're thinking, okay, I have heavy, painful periods, so to eliminate that, I eat cruciferous vegetables. If anyone's watching this and they don't have periods, and they're thinking, does that mean I don't eat cruciferous vegetables? What are your... what would your response to that be?
I would say that, we all have a sort of preconceived notion of what a hormonal imbalance looks like or what the symptoms are. And I will say that if you do not have a period, you basically have the opposite end of the spectrum. Like you are likely lacking in hormones. You do not have enough in order for your brain to tell your ovaries to ovulate each month so you can have a period. So you definitely have a hormonal imbalance, and it's something that can be really quite serious, and it should be addressed. So just to preface that for everyone. But yes, you should totally, everyone should be eating, a good amount of vegetables every day, cruciferous and others as well. So I think that it applies across the board to women, especially because obviously we need certain nutrients in order to have a healthy functioning menstrual cycle and to be fertile. So it's really important to keep that in mind regardless of what your symptoms are.
Brilliant. Thank you for clarifying that one.
Sure thing.
So, okay, we've gone through, hopefully, estrogen dominance, cruciferous vegetables, and that's some great take-home stuff. You also have 2 programs on at the moment. So the first one, if we could talk about your Fix Your Period program for women that just want to fix themselves to start with. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the Fix Your Period program, I basically offer it to women usually in their teens, 20s, and 30s. And there are women who are in their early 40s who are still cycling who find it really helpful as well. But the goal of it is to show you first and foremost that you are experiencing a health challenge, but your health is in your hands and you can address a lot of what you're experiencing through, just taking back control of your health. And so I have a 5-step protocol. I talk about blood sugar balancing, which is really crucial for us, especially for women, because insulin is so connected to our sex hormones and we just don't really realize it. And then I focus on, obviously I'm talking about food in all of that as well. I focus on stress management. I focus on targeted supplementation. I look at your thyroid health. And then I also look at your understanding your menstrual cycle better, whether you have one or not, and really starting to sync your life with your cycle, because there are so many cycles in life. There are daily, weekly, monthly cycles, and once we tune into those, then we can really live more in harmony with our lives, with our bodies. So that's the focus of the program, and the results for so many women have been incredible because they are finally in control of their health and making decisions that are going to have an amazing long-term benefit. So that's basically the gist of the first one.
Yeah, and I have to say, I enrolled one of your programs a long time ago, and the content was really good, and I loved the fact that you had the recipes, the shopping list, and it was all there for me. I didn't have to think. It made it so much easier. And on top of that, because so we're recording this, it's September 2015. It's PCOS Awareness Month, so the first 5 people that sign up to that using the links below this video, you will be getting a free half-an-hour slot with me where I teach you how to do self-fertility, massage, acupressure and reflexology to help you with your period problems, whatever they are. So do bear in mind that you get that bonus, but it's for the first 5 people that sign up. Details will be below. So moving on to your second program, I know that about 50% of this audience are practitioners that really want to help other women too, and you've got your apprenticeship opening its doors this month, so please tell us more about that.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I'm so excited about that because I love teaching this information. I love teaching it to all women. But when it comes to practitioners, they're just so eager to learn more so they can help more women too. So that's why I originally launched it in the first place. Anyways, it's a group apprenticeship program, and it'll last 4 months. It's going to be live, so you'll have access to my online portion of the program, which contains all the content, webinars, handouts, protocols, all that good stuff. But then we'll be doing live Q&A, group calls, as well as a small business building side of things as well. Just basic stuff, marketing, building your mailing list, blogging, that kind of stuff for anyone who might not be online yet or just has a new online presence. yeah, I'm really excited about it because I'm going to have some amazing guest speakers and guest teachers like Dr. Nat Kringoudis, Dr. Lara Bryden, Dr. Aviva Ram, like really amazing women. So stoked. Anyway, so that's happening, and it's again, it's an introduction for a lot of people to the nutritional side of healing hormonal imbalances, and I just, for me, the goal really is for you to take away as much information as is useful for you in your own practice, or if you want to become a women's health coach, for instance, or you're another kind of practitioner who just wants to be able to help women from a multifaceted approach.
Wonderful. So, yeah. And I've got a bonus on that as well. So anyone that signs up to the September 2015, I'll be giving you 2 hours of coaching from me. So whether that's you want to go through it for yourself, to heal yourself, you want to look at client case studies, or anything else I can help you with, you'll get 2 hours with me. But you do need to follow the link below here. So, Nicole, thank you so much for your time. It's been really good chatting to you, and I hope it's been really informative to anyone. If anyone's watching this on YouTube, please feel free to put your comments in below. And thank you so much, Nicole. I've just got one quick question for you.
Yes.
If someone's watching this, wherever they are in the world, whatever resources they have with really bad period pain, what's the one thing you would say to them?
I think the one thing I would say is that you're not broken. So just know that your body is not broken, that you're simply in a health challenge right now. But when you start to understand what's going on with your body, whether it's, through Google or in my blog or through Rachel's website, whatever it is, just know that there's a lot to learn, and it's very empowering to have a clear understanding of what's happening in your body, because your body is just sending you signals right now. It's just speaking in its own language. And when you understand that language, or begin to, you'll understand that she's not broken. She's just trying to communicate with you. And once you start to listen closely and take action, you will see remarkable results.
That's so beautifully put. Nicole, thank you so much. And to everyone watching, thank you. Take care. Goodbye.